Okay, so yay, polling, whether or not you enjoy it. A new lean toss up poll came out around September 6th. They gave a bunch of polling averages for key states that will be important for winning the election and a national average as well, which has been fairly consistent since 2004. The only variable where someone was ahead and lost was Clinton in 2016. I think she was ahead by 3.5 points as of September 6th, 2016. The difference now is right now, according to that data, Joe Biden has the highest point average compared to other candidates in previous years, which is a good sign that Trump will be potentially toast. If someone were to call it now, I can see that. And not that it's a good idea. It's still way too soon. We're still less than 2 months away until the election, but still it's closer to 2 months since I'm recording this on September 9th, 2020, just to date this video. So what does it mean from here? What it means at the moment is, one, Trump's campaign has been fairly ineffectual compared to 2016 especially. 2016, he was using a lot of populist rhetoric in order to make the Democratic nominee look bad. Like it or not, even though Hillary barely lost, she won the popular vote, it was effective. And with it being effective, Trump still has a really strong base. So even if someone were to call it now, I wouldn't necessarily agree with them. I'm still skeptical on whether or not Trump could win. There's way too many variables, and as someone pointed out earlier, 2020 is a very peculiar year, and also being told, don't count your chickens before they hatch, because that's what most people don't do, which I get it. I'm just saying, based off of this polling, it's been fairly accurate over the years in being able to depict or give an idea on the political advantage that certain candidates have. Once again, the one variable being Clinton in 2016, and Obama was tied with Romney in 2012. But also, Joe Biden's ahead in some of the key states. I think in Texas, he's barely ahead. I think it's like an eighth of a point, or yeah, 0.8%, something like that. So it's still too close to call, of course. But in Texas, that's pretty impressive. I gotta say, Trump's rhetoric has not been working. He's been basically saying, "Hey, can you imagine this America? You would have this America under Joe Biden." When that America that he's describing is what is contemporarily happening. COVID. He was way too late on reacting to COVID. I guess he responded at the time that he felt appropriate, which prevented deaths. But if he responded earlier, more deaths and cases could have been prevented. So there's that. His credibility on COVID. He's also using a lot of like I'm not a hawk rhetoric, but we're still waging wars in the Middle East. Okay. And the economy is going to be great. Well, our economy is imploding, and he's all the while saying like this is what's going to happen under Joe Biden. What is already happening now under my administration is happening under Joe Biden. Great rhetoric, Donnie. Great. Keep it up. No, keep it up. Sincerely, keep it up. I hope you keep it up and it doesn't work in your favor. Please continue. So, and I guess the Joe Biden, Trump's bad rhetoric is, I guess, working in some ways. I think it's Trump's making himself look worse than Biden making himself look better. But again, there's way too many variables. It's way too soon to call it still. I mean, it's always been too soon, and it's going to be too soon up until the election actually happens. There's way too many variables. The only way that Donald Trump can really get out of this is if he pulls off some sort of miracle. If he gets legislation passed that gives a lot more relief to the American people, such as holding off on eviction, since now we're going to have about, what was it, July? Or was it 40,000 people that were supposed to be evicted? And he prevented some of it. I don't know, all of his quarter measures. And also if there was like direct financial relief to the people. Donnie Donnie, you'd look good. You're never going to see this video, so by the time it gets to you, it'll be too late. If it ever did get to you, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, so Trump has to really pull some miracle out of his ass. I'm also going this video is going based off of Kyle Kulinski from Secular Talk, his video about this polling, and basically acknowledging that, yeah, Trump has to really, really pull off some really bold and effective moves that would require outflanking Joe Biden from the left. He's been doing a poor job. I hope he keeps it up with the poor job. So, what does it mean from here? Well, one thing it means is that people shouldn't stop. If they want Joe Biden to win, and there's a lot of people that want Joe Biden to win, I'm voting for Joe Biden as much as I really, 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 really don't want to. Got to keep up that momentum that Joe has. Ultimately, it's up to Joe Biden. Joe Biden needs to be using a lot more policy-driven rhetoric. He's really relying on the Trump bad, I'm better rhetoric, which is fine for a little while, but if you want to motivate people who are further left or they identify more independent but left-leaning and want to vote for third party, if you want to motivate them, Joe Biden, along with people who are advocating for Joe Biden, need to go based off of policy. And we got to say, some of his policy isn't too bad. He has some, they're all like half measures. Are they far enough? No. I'm not going to say they're far enough. Is it better than what we have? Hell, yes. Is it better than what we've had in previous years before 2016? Yes. Surprisingly, he has really good policy on climate change. And if that legislation and policy does pass, that could save millions of lives compared to now or what could happen in the future. And he has better policy on healthcare. It would just be an expansion of the ACA, which was a quarter measure in itself. But that being said, it's a step in the better direction. It's not the best thing that can happen, but it's the better direction. It would have a public option, and through doing that, that can save people financially and mortally. That could save millions of lives. And it's better than what we have now. It's not. I agree with people, because I wanted to vote for third party, but let's be real, third party's not going to win. And anytime someone votes third party and they have a candidate that they prefer the least, if they're in a swing state, let's just clarify, if they're in a swing state and they vote for a candidate that they don't like, such as Donald Trump, or excuse me, I'm sorry, if they vote for someone else, but it happens to be like there's the most evil, in a two-party system especially, any vote that goes to third party gives Trump political advantage, which is especially true if Trump's voter suppression actually succeeds, especially with mail-in ballots and all the controversy that he's causing over that, because he knows that he can't win if there's a higher voter turnout. That's how it's always been with Republicans. They have to have minimal voter turnout in order for the most likely outcome of them winning. So, what's important to do now? First off, again, talk about policy. Joe Biden has not perfect policy, of course. Is it better than Trump's? Overall, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Especially because I looked at Trump's goals. They're not even policy, and they're extremely vague, and they're laughable. If I could find it, I'll post a link in the description below. It's hilarious. It was like Trump wrote it himself, and his staffers were just like, "Oh no, Trump don't." Oh, they're published now. We're gonna pull out of the wars. Also, we're gonna have military expansion. I'm like, okay, that's an active contradiction within the same set of bullet points. But all right, Donald. All right, Donnie. But the sad part is there are people that are gonna fall for it anyway. It's so stupid. So, I have people bitching at me about not focusing enough on unity and talking about good things of Joe Biden and bad things of Trump. Well, practice what you preach, buds. Practice what you preach. Start phone banking. Go outside of just talking your friends. Produce more YouTube videos. Like, I'm only going to get like 16 views or maybe 10 or 9 on this one. But, you know, that's 9 people compared to me just going to work or going to see family and talking about politics and is causing something insufferable. Rather, this is a contained video that people can enjoy or not enjoy. I don't care, because I just want Joe Biden to win compared to Donald Trump. That's my idealization, because Trump has become increasingly fascistic. As much as he talks about supporting the First Amendment, he has been cracking down on it, and he's advocated for cracking down on it, while speaking on the other side of his mouth and being like, "But I love free speech, just not that free speech. But I love free speech, just not that free speech." Basically, if he doesn't agree with it, it's a no-no. It's poopy for him. That's for me, personally. And with Joe Biden being in the White House, there is a higher likelihood that we can get more leftist policies enacted and go closer to a social democracy. It's going to be a lot easier to fight against Kamala Harris and Joe Biden in the White House compared to Trump and Pence, because, like it or not, leftism doesn't thrive in authoritarian regimes or anything that's close to fascism. Or not saying we're entirely there, but you can see how things are kind of being pushed in the goalpost. Things are getting closer to that goalpost, if not being past the goalpost of being claimed authoritarianism. But that's subjective. So it'll be a lot easier to fight against Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And if there's anyone I know that lives in swing states, I highly recommend you really reconsider who you're voting for if you decide to go third party. I don't like telling people how to vote, so I'm not going to be gospel with this. Like, you have to do this or you fucked everything. I'm not blaming anyone. If anything, it's the fault of the Democratic Party for not motivating third party voters. But let's keep it real. In a two-party system, that third party person isn't going to win. The best thing that we can do, as much as it pains my heart to say this, but at this moment in time, would to get someone who is under the blue banner, aka a Democrat, and fight harder for policies that we want to be pushed. So I would say Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. I appreciate everyone who's principled in their stances and say I want to vote third party because it's more correlated with my principles. Man, I get it. I was there, and I don't disagree with it still. People have their principles, and that's fine. You got to go, like, if you're going to vote that way, that's fine, but you also have to accept that as a potential result, if the most electable candidate at this moment in time loses, you have to accept that, hey, there might be thousands, if not millions, of lives that are lost because we couldn't get certain policies passed. Again, Joe Biden is not nearly far enough, but it's a step in the better direction. And then we can finally elect someone like Nina Turner or Alexia Ocasio-Cortez in 2024. I'm just saying, think about it. Think about the future. And for you guys who preach Joe Biden and unity and aren't willing to criticize your own candidate when he's not doing good enough, start phone banking. Start doing more. I hope to see you knocking on doors and convincing people to vote Biden, or just convincing people to vote. Actually, that's a more important thing, is convincing people to vote. I think voting for Biden is less of an issue, but motivating people to go out and fill in that bubble and potentially spend a good amount of time in that line trying to vote or putting in a mail-in ballot, that's important to do. So just start practicing what you're preaching. I appreciate it. Because us Bernie supporters are, as much as we're disappointed that he lost, we are reluctantly hoping that Biden wins in comparison to what the drastic alternative can be. Now it's up to Joe Biden to be able to put his policies forward. He is on the world stage, after all. He should be talking more about his individual policies and how they would elevate the American population. instead of just saying Trump's policies are bad and mine would be better. Now, it's fair. Okay, well, Jared, you could just look it up. Yeah, but it's not my responsibility or anyone's responsibility to put that on the world stage. That's Joe Biden. And that's his campaign's responsibility to put policy up on the world stage and talk about policy. Because, frankly, let's be real. People don't have time to just sit at the computer and research things all day. I do at the moment. That's just me. So, start appealing to people. Like, come on, Joe. And his supporters. Come on, just start talking about his policy. Make his policy sound appealing. There have been some commentators and some people who've been able to do that effectively. Like, he has some pretty good stuff. So yeah, that's what we do from here. I guess we keep hoping that Joe's going to win. Hope to God that Trump goes on a trajectory downward. The thing is, I hope, and not for Trump's chances to win, of course, but I hope that he starts out-lefting Biden soon. Not in the sense of I want him to be more electable, but the sooner he can give relief to American people and properly do it, enact those leftist policies, even from the right, it will benefit the American people. There's a lot of people who can't afford to just live and have food. Like, was it 50% of people who are jobless can't afford food? That's disgusting. And even then, when Trump has decent policy that comes out, call it out. If a stimulus still passes, yeah, of course, take that money. But let's not pretend that Trump's a good guy because he's like, oh, I approved the stimulus 6 weeks before the election. I'm good. Start calling it out. That's fine. I'm going to continue calling out Trump like I always have and criticizing Biden because Biden needs to be better. I don't know. So, of course, as usual, this was off the cuff. I probably missed saying some things. In the meantime, I might expand later if I feel like it today, because I feel like I missed a lot of things and I just kind of went anywhere. But anyway, my dudes, it's on a good trajectory right now. It's on a better trajectory right now. Let's not have it deviate again, because it was good, then it got tight, and now it's good again. So who knows what's going to happen. So, in the meantime, see ya.